Okay, so welcome back everybody. If you recall in session 1, I said that the Python interpreter reads the source code in a way we read textbooks in Western culture, meaning from top to bottom and left to right. And I also said that there are some exceptions to that procedural approach and that we are going to cover them later in the course. Well, we have arrived to that point where we are going to learn how to write programs that do not strictly follow this top-down approach. So in the next few sessions, we will learn flow control mechanisms in Python, and that includes control statements and loops. There are two different types of loops, for and while loop. With that said, I'm just gonna quickly review. So indexing and slicing technique are very related techniques, but not the same, okay? So those are two different techniques. And both use index number. So let's understand what index number is. I'm just going to quickly review. This was discussed on last session. Let's say there is a sequence where a sequence can be a string data type or list data types. They use something called index numbers. So if we look at a sequence, for example, a string here, hello world, the first element will always be index 0. And then increment by 1 for each subsequent element, including commas and this space. Everything will include all the way to the last element, which is index 12 in this case. So if we do hello world index 12, we will be able to access this exclamation mark in this case. Python also has negative index. So the thing you want to remember regarding negative index is it will start from the opposite side. And the first number will be -1 and will decrement by 1 as you move along to the left. Okay, so two different indexes. Regular index starts from the left, starts with 0. In first index value is 0 and increments by 1. Python also supports negative indexing. That starts from the right and decrements by 1 as you go to the left side.
So when it starts from the right, so there is no 0?
No, there is no 0. 0 already means here. This is 0, right? So you cannot have 0 as well in this. Because when you do 0, you are already here.
Yeah, got it.
And we will do examples today if you are confused. So when we do hello world 3, we are accessing the third element, which is L. So when you do print hello world 3 or just hello world 3 in Google Colab, you will get L. Similarly, hello world -2, that means we are accessing negative indexes, which is here, and you end up getting D. So what you notice is there is no colon sign inside this square bracket, right? That means we are using indexing, not slicing technique, which is the next slide. Okay, so remember that if there's no colon, we are simply doing indexing. If there's any 1 or 2 colon, then we are doing slicing technique. Another thing to remember on this is, what if you try to do hello world 13? It only goes up to 12. So 13 is outside this. There's no index value 13 assigned to this, right? Because there's no 13th element. So when you do that, Python will give you index error. So keep that in mind. So the second one is slicing technique. This is new. We did not do this on last session, but the slide was there. I slightly modified the slide to make it more clear. So like I said earlier, when we have 1 or 2 colon signs in between the square brackets, that means we are using slicing technique, not indexing technique. But the index value will still be the same. That index values will apply here as well, but we just have more parameters separated by columns. So for example, if our string is hello, our beginning is index 0 and then last element 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. But if we do 5, index will not include 5, so includes 0 to the 4th element. Actually it's 5th element, but since index value starts with 0, we will print the whole hello world in that case, right? And then there's the third parameter here. So if we have 2 parameters, that's just beginning and the ending index values. If we have third parameter as well, that will indicate the step size, how much you are jumping in between every element. Let me repeat that. There could be 2 or 3 values here. If we have 2 values, it only indicates the start and end, like in this case, start index and stop index. But if we have third one, that also indicates the step size, how much we want to move by each time. If we do not have a step, by default it is 1. If the start and stop parameters are omitted, it returns the item in the sequence, like in this case. So if there's no values here, only there is a colon, that means we are using slicing, but we are not specifying any step size or stop size or start index values. So that will bring the entire string as output. All these are equivalent. I'm just giving you different examples of how to output the input string using slicing technique. So if you do just colon or colon colon or colon colon 1, or the beginning is 0, empty stop, and then the step is 1, that will also give you hello. The syntax hello colon colon -1, however, will effectively reverse the string and return OLLEH, like the last example here. Our string was hello, but then we are doing colon colon -1, so we are taking everything but also taking negative indexing. So we are starting from the left or starting from the right, and the step size is -1, so we are moving 1 to the right every time. So that's why we end up with reversing the input string. This is a very clever way of how people reverse an input string in Python. So this is also an interview questions, like somebody will ask you, how do you reverse a string in Python? This is all you give. That should be your answer. Colon colon -1, that's this slicing technique used to reverse a string. As you saw, positive and negative indexing can be mixed and matched together. The one error value that I want you to be careful on is step size. Step size can only be positive or negative, as you have seen so far. So here, none of these have a step size 0. If we do a step size of 0, that means we are not trying to move literally within the sequence, and that will give a value error saying slice step cannot be a 0. We will do a lot of exercise today, and including this indexing and slicing technique. So if something is not clear, maybe with those exercises it will be clear. Okay, here's a quiz. Earlier we learned that hello world 13 gives index error, right? And here's an example. Because string index is out of range, it only has 12 elements, and we're trying to access the 13th element, which is not there. That's why it's giving an index error. So the question is, would hello world 0 colon 13? So we are using slicing technique here instead of index technique here. Do you think this will give any error?
No.
Why?
Because it will be from 0 to 12, right?
Yeah, 0 to 12, but we're trying to access 13 here. Remember, 13 gave us index error in doing indexing?
Yeah, but that range would be from 0 to 12, right? The 13 will not be, the 13th position will not be in effect, right?
Okay, good point. What if this was 23? With your logic, that would be an error, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, good answer, but this will not give an error. Why? Because when doing slicing, indexes are silently truncated by Python to fall into the allowed range. So even if we go over when we do slicing, Python will know that it doesn't have that length. So it will truncate our slice and give us the correct answer. The entire string, not the partial, but it will not give an error. Okay?
So the value for that 0 to 26 will be hello world, right?
Yes, the entire hello world.
Okay.
Okay, so that's one good point to remember. There is no index error when we do slicing, but there is one when we do indexing. So next we will switch a little bit to some example exercise. Okay, so I want you to give me answers here. So you guys are the one talking next. I will zoom in a little bit. Here what you need to give me is indicate the type of the expression. 3.14, what type of data type is this? These are the options.
Float.
Float. Minus 34.
Integer.
Integer. True.
Boolean. Boolean.
Anybody disagree so far? Non-data type or non? I just gave you the answer.
Um,
And 3.0,
what?
float. Anybody has any different idea before I submit and try to see whether these are right or wrong? Any other inputs?
It looks good.
Okay, let's submit. All right, we got 5 out of 5 correct. Next exercise. For this, we have to indicate the value returned. If it leads to an error, just say error. So this is an expression, 6 plus 12 minus 3.
15.
2 times 3.0.
6.0.
Minus 4.
4.
Plus 4.
Okay, 10 by 3.
3.5.
3.3.
3.5.
Yeah.
Y 0.5.
Rounding.
Okay.
Well, we didn't say to round. It only says 10 by 3.
Yeah.
So let's say 3.333, right? We're
Yeah.
shorting at 4 decimal places. 10.0 divided by 3.0.
Same 3.33330.
Same answer?
Yeah, 3.33 and then 0 at the end.
Okay, what's the next one?
20. Only.
20. Next one.
14.
Say it again.
14.
1, 4.
Yeah.
Next one.
9.
9.
Okay, what do you think this will be?
4. 4.1.
Alright, 4.41. And then the last one.
10.648.
10.6. Anybody thinks differently?
10.648.
6.6.
Oh, sorry, yeah. Oh, I thought that's.
Alright, let's see. 10 by 10. Alright, so here we will. So think of it like you are running this on Python's shell or a Colab notebook, right? So a equals to 3 and then you are doing a plus 2.0. So what will be the final answer, data type, and the value?
5.2 float.
5.2?
Sorry, 5.0.
Okay, are you sure?
Yes.
And then the next one. So values from the previous will be retained. Okay, so if we assign a equals to 3 here, this a is also 3 so far.
4.0 float.
4.0. All right, now
This error, right?
anybody thinks differently?
I think it's error.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so for error, we are saying non-type, right? So let's try. All right, 6 by 6. Moving on. Exercise 8. All right, maybe there's 12 questions here. So here, return the value 3 greater than 4.
Error.
Anybody remember comparison?
Yeah, the 2 equal, right?
Here.
2 equal.
So these are comparison operators, right?
Yeah.
So what are we doing? Comparing if right side equal to left side or not. Right side and left side are not equal to or they are equal to. So what do you think the return value will be? It will tell you either true or false, right? When you compare apple to orange, you will end up saying, hey, they are not equal, or hey, yeah, they are equal.
False.
So you will get true or false with these comparisons. So in this case, it will be false.
False, yeah.
Right? So here,
True.
true.
False.
False.
Okay. 4 greater than plus 4.
False.
False.
False. 2 plus 2 equals 4.
True.
True.
Now you understand what is the double equal to doing, I guess.
Yeah.
All right, true or false?
True.
Did I tell you about truth tables?
No.
No. Okay, so I will quickly show you. Look at this. I have 3 truth tables here, and all of these are operators, right? Not, or, and. If you go back to the previous slide, logical operators, remember these? And, or, not. And each of those has their own truth table. So interestingly, not only has one input. So what you see on the last column is the output. What you see on the previous columns, any previous columns are inputs, whether there are 1 or 2 inputs. So for not, operator, we only need one input. If we give input true, not true will be false, right? That's obvious. If we input false, not false will be true. Now let's go to OR operator. The only way we can get false in the OR operator is when both inputs are false. So true or true, true or false, false or true, they all will give us true. And AND is on the other side only giving us true when both inputs are true. A and B are true, then the output is true. True or true, true and true gives us true. True and false gives us false. As long as there's one false, our result will be false. As long as there's one true in the OR operator, our result will be true. So that's the logic we are going to use here. True or false. Again, go back here. True, we are using OR operator. True or false will give us what?
True.
Yep. False or false?
False.
That is the only way we get false with OR operator. Not false.
Not false.
True.
Okay. Now inequality. So this is not equal to. So we will evaluate this side, evaluate that side, and then evaluate whether they are not equal to.
False.
All right, this is complicated. Comparison, and then bracket. We're doing OR with that. So evaluate the bracket first, right? Based on precedence. This will give true, and this will give false. So remember, in AND operator, as long as we have at least one false, we will end up with false. Make sense?
Yes.
So this is false. False or false?
False.
False or true and true.
True.
All right. Bracket first. So you true here and then true here. So true and true.
False.
All right. Any different idea with someone disagreeing with anything here?
So, Sundar, if you go to second last, right? So we start from the left or we start from the right, or it will give the same results. So you got my question, right? Like
Yes,
suppose
yes, yes. Or, and let me go to precedence. So precedence. What are we looking for again? Or and, right? Or and. So and come first. Does that answer your question?
So we need to memorize what comes first.
Yes. This is public information. Rather than giving wrong answer, it's better to Google, right? But this is Python Bible. So anything that is here is always true, no matter what everybody else will tell you. My point is, if you are confused, just go to documentation and find it. And has higher preference than or. We want to do and first, and therefore we take care of this. Or has lesser precedence. So can I submit and move on from here?
Yes.
All right,
Yeah.
all of those right. So here again, find the data type and the final value. A is equal to 3, and then we are doing what? Are we assigning new value to A?
Comparison.
Comparison, right? So what will be A?
Integer data type.
And the final value here?
The final value of A would be 3, but if you come that the result would be false. The comparison with A, yeah.
So
it's false.
okay, Samir, are you saying this is integer and 3?
Yeah, because the value of A is 3, right?
Yes. From here, yes.
Yeah. And we are trying to compare the value of A.
So
Which is 3.
what will this give you?
This would give false, right?
Okay, anybody disagree with what Samir said?
Yeah, I think it's false, but I don't think this is integer.
Okay, so let's go with 3, and then I will come back to this and explain whether this is right or wrong. Okay, so let's move on. B equals to 10, and then we are doing C equals B greater than 9. So what will be C? B greater than 9, which is 10 greater than 9.
Yeah, so it's a true boolean, right?
All right. So both, yeah. So Samir was absolutely right. Here we are doing a equals to 3. So this is assignment operator. This is comparison operator. It doesn't assign new value to a. So a will still be 3. Okay.
So how is it in integer instead of, if you say something, so if you are talking about
Because
decimals, then
okay,
it's
because
a float.
here we are assigning 3 integer value to variable a. Here
okay.
here we are not assigning. We are just comparing that
Got it.
3
Got it.
with, we are comparing left and right side. This
Right.
this
So
will
it could
this
be anything.
this comparison will only give either true or false. It will not assign any new value to any new variable or existing variable.
Right.
So when we do a, it will only print 3. That's the stored value. So last one here, this was I think, oh, we have 2 more. So this was part of the homework assignment that I gave. I think I gave the first answer, 5 by 2.
2.5 float.
Float
Float.
and
2.5.
2.5. Okay.
Yes, 2.5 float, yes.
5 by 2 equal to 5 by 2.0.
Float.
What have we been saying about double equal to?
Boolean.
Comparing. Yeah.
So boolean.
Okay.
And what is the output of the boolean value? True.
2.5.
2.5 is not a boolean.
So, it's true. Okay.
True.
Condition is true.
Hey son, I joined the class late. How is it a boolean?
Because of comparison operator. This comparison operator will always give us either true or false.
Oh, okay.
Everything in this column, all of these, once you do this operation, this is
That's
going to tell.
Okay, got it.
You are comparing right and left side. So you're saying whether
Got
it's this is equal to that, this is greater than that, yes or no, right? So you will always end up with true or false.
Got it.
So 5 by 2.0 is, I guess, similar to this, right?
2.5 float.
Float and 2.5. So round, this is a built-in function, 2.6.
Integer and 3.
Integer 3, yeah.
That way.
Yeah.
Integer, this is typecasting, int 2.6.
2 and integer.
Integer.
2 or 3, I don't know. 3, I think. 2, yeah.
Alright, let's try 2. And 2.0 plus 5.0.
Okay.
7 integer and float.
And
Boolean.
and the value?
True.
True.
I think so.
Yeah.
Alright. And all of those were right. So here, this gives you 2 because it only takes care of what is in the integer value. It's not rounding, it is only typecasting. So it only looks at the integer value and just gives you 2.
Oh, okay.
Alright, let's move on. This is the last one. We're gonna go over this quickly. I gave example A, string A plus BC will give us ABC, right? That's a string. So 3 times BC, what will that be?
3 BC.
BC, 3 times BC.
That. String 3 times string BC.
3 times string 3.
False.
Float. Sorry, what was that?
False, right?
False. We're trying to do multiplication.
Yeah, it's gonna be.
You mean error?
3 BC.
Error, yeah, error.
Error or same answer?
Error.
ABCD.
How come it's error? How
I don't
come
know.
it's error?
That's what you guys told me. Let's submit and come back, okay?
Okay.
ABCD, index value 2. Remember index that we just went over?
C.
C.
So this is 0, 1, 2. Make sense? Index value 0 to 2. This is slicing.
A, B.
maybe starting from the start to index value 2.
ABC.
Are you sure?
From the start. BC.
AB.
AB, I think AB, yeah.
Yes, it will not include 2. It will
Range,
stop.
right?
It stop before this stop index.
Yeah.
So from 2 to the end.
CD.
CD.
Okay, there was a question somewhere, right? This why error?
Yes.
Because we are trying to multiply two different strings, and that is always an error.
Oh.
However, here we are trying to multiply strings times 3. So it will, in Python, that will not be an error. It will just multiply that string by 3 times and give you
3
that
times. Okay.
lengthier string. So let's switch gear. I was thinking we would also do dictionary, but I will have to push that and try to give you what is the point of session 3, which is conditional statement. So why do we need conditional statement? Imagine a scenario where, like, suppose we want to make an application that checks weather report so that we know when to go out for an ice cream or when to stay home and drink hot coffee. We were to stick with the strictly procedural approach from top to down, executing one line at a time, we can't really create such a decision-making application or software. So in programming languages, including Python, what we need is some decision logic that checks whether the certain condition we wanted to check has been met, and if true, then we execute some steps. If not true, then execute something else. Make sense? So those type of condition in Python or programming language are called conditional statements. And there are if, elif, and else versions. So we will go quickly over those variations with examples. This is procedural logic. If we are to introduce a conditional statement, it will replace this first statement with a decision. So that will look something like this. We will make a decision first whether it is hot or not, and if it is true, we will execute 2 statements. If it is false, we will execute some other 2 statements. Okay, so that's the point of the whole concept of conditional statements. We don't want everything to be executed. We want some statement to be executed under certain conditions and some other statements to be executed under different conditions. So with that information, let me go to session 3 and introduce you to the simplest form of if statement. So there are 2 main things that I want you to remember from this. Why I needed to include this. Okay, so the first is, you see this indentation. This is called indentation in Python. Anything that comes after this colon, if, some expression, and then a colon. This is the syntax of if statement in Python. After this line, you need to indent by 4 spaces or a tab button. Same thing. It doesn't really matter. Okay, 4 spaces or a tab.
Rashan, quick question.
Yes.
So is it necessary to indent in Python?
Yes, very necessary, because in different languages you will not have to indent, but you will have to include curly brackets, and that separates the block that is to be executed inside if logic. But in Python there is no curly brackets. How we separate what blocks to be included in the if logic is separated by this indentation. So indentation is very important in Python.
Oh, okay. So that is that one tab?
Yes,
or is
one
it
tab.
2?
One
Okay.
tab. You can
Okay.
you can do 2 spaces, 4 spaces, but you have to be consistent throughout the block. Okay. It is okay. It is okay to do this. By default, Colab will do 4 spaces or tab. But if you go back and do 2 spaces, it will just run fine as well. But if you have longer, like, pages of codes, it is hard to understand now, right? So it's always better to do a tab. So you see this, I'm printing amazing, but I'm not printing amazing all the time. Well, in this case it's all the time, because if logic has an expression that is always true. So what I'm trying to point is that, remember the 2 things I wanted you to remember. One is indentation, that is very important. Second also is equally important, and that is Once you write if, whatever you write before this column is the evaluation expression. Okay, so that will evaluate to either true or false eventually. Whatever you put in there will eventually has to result in a true or false. And in this case, the simplest form, I'm directly writing it's true. So this program will always print amazing. Okay, so that's the syntax for if statement. Now we will see more complicated examples. I have two if logics here. Multiple conditions tested one at a time. By default in Python, anything that is not 0 or false or none will be a true value. So in this case, this is a non-empty list, right? This list only has one element, therefore it is not empty, and therefore the truth value will be true. And it will print amazing. Look at this example, if not false. What is not false? That's also true, right? We just did that example. So it will also print awesome. Let's run. So this is evaluated true, this is evaluated to true, and this is also evaluated to true. So we are printing both in this case.
Okay.
And by the way, here it doesn't have to be next line. If we only have one statement, that statement can be in the same line like this, and it will still run. But if you have multiple statements, more than one statements, then you need to go to next line and have that indentation there. So next example, I'm simply checking for inequality. So assume there's a pizza store and the topping is mushroom. They have topping, requested topping is mushroom. If the requested topping does not match, then hold on to that mismatching topping. Very simple logic, just to give you an idea how we can combine inequality if when checking if statement. If it is not equal, then we will print. And in this case, mushroom is not equal to this second topping, so it will just print here.
So you have requested topping equals mushroom. If requested topping is not mushroom.
Yeah, if requested topping mushroom is not what they have in the store, then they will hold on to that topping that they did not request.
Okay.
It's not like they are not requesting and you are trying to put that topping on something that they did not request, right? So they will get mad. So you will hold on to that other toppings. Next one, checking whether a value is not in a list. So for example, in this case, here is a list of users that are banned, and a user comes in called Mary. And if user not in this banned user list, then I'll say, hey, you are authorized. I'm trying to see if this is a member of this list, banned users list.
Yeah.
And if not in the banned user list, then you are authorized. So what do you think if I replace that with one of the users that was banned? Will it give any output?
What is your question again?
So earlier, remember there was Mary, which was not in the banned list.
In that list, yes.
So we got this output here because you are an authorized user, right? You are not in the banned list, so you are authorized.
Right.
But what if now I want to check Andrew? So what will be the output from the program that we have? Remember, Python only does what we tell the interpreter to do. So when we run this, in this case, there's no output, just to be clear. Why? Because we are printing inside a if statement. So only when this if statement gives true, only then in that condition the print executes. Did that confuse anybody?
Otherwise it doesn't. Yeah. Otherwise it doesn't print anything, right?
Otherwise the execution will never go to this statement, so it doesn't print anything.
Right, exactly.
But there is no other print statement, so there's nothing else to print. Okay, make sense?
Interesting. Okay, so user equals Andrew. If the user is Andrew, then we are not allowing. There is nothing to print.
So nothing new so far. Everything we have already covered. If you guys need a lot of practice, and that's my main focus today is give you a lot of things to work on so that you get that practice. And that's why we are doing all these practice from the online websites, practice on the Colab, and then I'm also giving you enough things to work on over the weekend. Now next variation is if-else statement. Remember, so far we have only seen if, and here specifically we didn't have anything to see when there was a mismatch. So now that's why we need a else statement as well. So we do something if true, and if not true, we do something else. So for example, lottery system, right? So let's assume there is a list of 6 numbers that is the winning number. And this is my number that I picked or paid for. And if those match exactly, then I'm the winner, right? If they do not match, then I'm not winner. So it should tell me you are not the winner or you are the winner. All I'm doing is matching a list with another list. I'm comparing two different lists. If they are equal, the numbers are matching and I am the winner. Else, I'm not a winner. It will tell me try again. Let's try. Not a winner, try again, right? Because there are different numbers here. You see? Now, what if I have the same exact number? It will tell me I am the winner. So that flow now goes back to what I was trying to mention here. Two different flows. I'm controlling where the interpreter will execute next. With this decision if logic, this is true or else this is true. If the true flow is not executed, else will execute. If this is not executed, else will execute. Here is another example. So palindrome, this is another interview question, okay? So pay attention here. How do we know something is a palindrome or not? A palindrome is any word or phrase or sequence that reads the same whether we read from the left or from the right. So forward or backward, it reads exactly same. Like the word madam or race car. Even if we read from the left side or right side, it will still read race car. Here is our string reversal. Remember I told you earlier how we reverse a string in Python? So we have the word from here and then we are reversing that word with this slicing technique, and we are equating that word with this reverse. And if they are equal, we know that the word is palindrome. If they are not equal, we will execute the else and go to print. So in this case, race car is a palindrome, and that is correctly determined by this. If we modify this, say let's add a number here, then what do you think will come out? Will the output be same?
It's not palindrome.
Not palindrome. Okay. What if I add 8 in the front? That will again be palindrome. Before I move on to if else, let me quickly show you the execution visualization of this. Remember our friendly website Python Tutor? I like this. Go to Python, go to edit code, change everything in there, delete, paste my code. And let's try to visualize this. What happens in an if statement. So Python is telling me, or the interpreter from this is telling me there are 4 steps. These all are comments, so those are not actual steps. It goes directly to number 4. And remember this is space. When I execute this, there will be a global frame with that string there. And then the next one to be executed is this if statement. Now when I hit next, it will check this, evaluate this equality, and if it is true, it will jump here. If it is not true, it will jump here. In this case, it is true. This evaluates to true. That's why it goes to this statement with that red line. Here you could also do another if statement, but do we really need to do that? No, because we already did the check here. The only outcome from here will be true or false. And if it is not true, it has to be false, right? So why waste our computation power doing the same computation already, which we know the answer for? So we only do else in this case. Okay, hopefully that is not too confusing. Alright, so next one is if else type or variation. One example is how is the weather. So we want to check the weather. If it is too cold, I want to get some hot chocolate. If it is too hot, I want to stay inside, not go out maybe. And if the weather is in between, then I would say this is a perfect day, nice kind of day, my kind of day. So here, this is the current temperature that we have outside, assuming, right? And if it is below 66, that is, we will consider too cold. From 66 up to 80, that would be a perfect weather. Anything above that, given by the else condition, the weather will be too hot, so stay inside. So our outcome here will be different based on what is the current weather. So in this case, 81 falls above this condition, so it goes to else and it will print too hot, so it stay inside. But if I have 60 here, that will fall under this, right? So that threshold is met and this will execute. The rest of the program will never execute there. So what is the idea here? As long as you have one condition met in if else, as soon as this is met, the remaining will not be executed. Okay, after this execution, the program ends. Keep that point in mind. Okay, a question for everybody. Does it always have to be a print statement here, or only one statement in there? Can I have something else, some other statement, or multiple statements together?
You can have more if you want, but
yeah. And what needs to be taken care of if I have more? Indentation, okay?
right.
So let me just give you an example here without making much change. I'm simply adding another print statement saying this is nice. And if I run this, both statement will be executed. Now another question is, what if I modify this and instead of there, I have that print statement here? What will do? Adding white space for clarity. Just this is my if else block. Each block has only one print statement, and then I have another print here outside that if else block.
So it will print is too hot, stay inside. This is nice.
That way. Now if I change that to be 80, what will happen?
Yeah, still will give it this is nice at the end.
This line will print or not?
The one is perfect today, and
This line
this is nice.
and then this line. Yes, exactly. Because the other two are not satisfied. As long as this is satisfied, this will never execute. This was not satisfied, therefore not executed. This is satisfied and executed. And once this is executed, this will be skipped altogether, and then it goes out of the if else block and go back to next line, which is the print line. So we will have two print statement in this case. So the bottom line is this line will always be executed in this situation. Okay, you guys, I think you guys got the idea here. So another one is, this is a fairly complicated one for beginners. This program is trying to determine admission rate in a ticket booth. So based on your age, you will get a different pricing. How that is determined is this logic here. So if you are under 4, your price will be 0. If you are above 4 and below 18, you will pay $25. Adult under 65 will pay $40, and elder people will pay $20. So the price will, the outcome here, we are using FE string here again. The price that printed out here will be depending on this age. And by what is this line here? Since our comparison is only age, why do we need this line?
Variable assignment.
Yes, by default we are setting the price to be the highest value, and based on certain conditions we will reduce that value, giving the discount to people based on their age. Okay, so this idea is always good because you will get rid of a lot of bugs when you program if you already set a default value. That way you don't end up with a variable that you never define. So it's always a good idea to have some default value and then change that based on some conditions. So let's run quickly, and in this case the admission cost is 25. Why? Because the age is 12 and that does not fall here, but it falls here. Under 18 but above 4 years will get pricing of $25. I hope this makes sense. If not, you can ask now.
What if like we don't we comment out that line number 5?
Line number 5?
Yeah, because the final value would be $25, right?
Yes,
okay.
The final value, yes, because now you see this error here. Remember the point that I was trying to make earlier? We are setting price on every conditions, right? But you will still get this warning, and I think it will still run and give you the output, but you will get this warning because there may be conditions and you will end up getting a bug without knowing that there may be a bug if you do not set this default value. So in the future, when you become a developer, let's say, and you are creating something, it's a nice idea to always have a default value preset before you choose a condition and modify that value. If you do not have this, then you're not modifying, you are creating a new value on the fly, which sometimes may not be a good idea. That's why the interpreter is giving you a quick fix for this.
So instead of 40, can we give any value or
price? Yes, you can give 100, it doesn't matter, but you are going to change it later, right? I'm only setting a default value here. You will still end up with 25. The final price will never be 100 because this program is carefully written so that every age group is covered. There may be situation that you or some developer do not write this properly and leave a gap in that case it will default back to this 100 value, and some people may not like that when paying at the gate. So it's also a good idea to set this default value to this maximum value, right? That's why 40. So let's quickly do a nested if statement, and we should be wrapping up for today. So here, what is nested if statement? That means I have multiple if logic or if else logic, one inside another one. Okay, so I have this if and else, but then inside this if I have another if else. So this is nested portion within this outer if else logic, and also this is the inner portion inside this elif. So I have if, elif, elif, and then inside those elif I have separate if else blocks, and then the final else block that is from the original if statement. Now again, notice how I'm indenting here. The indentation always is important in these kind of blocks. So based on where it is indented, this is telling you this is part of this logic, and this second indentation here is telling you this is part of this if statement, which is another part of this outer elif statement. And what is this program doing, by the way? It is determining the admission price based on two different factors. That's why we are checking two different things here, nested if statements. Earlier in earlier example, we only were looking for age and then pricing based on age group. Now we want that age group. On top of that, we also want weekend and weekdays price for each age group. Maybe that's what the idea is here. So now we need another variable called day, and we already had age. So for under age 4, the price is always 0. We don't need to check Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, whatever day it is. It's always 0. So we don't need nested if statement here. But if under 18, then the weekend price is higher and weekday price is a little lower. Similarly, for adult under 65, we're checking that age, and then once we determine the age, we are checking the weekend and weekdays price. Otherwise, the standard price will be $20. So that's the logic here. Admission cost is again $25, and it will change based on what day we are here. Interestingly, do I have to give Monday here to get another day? Monday, Tuesday, any weekdays? What if I do S, just a garbage string? That will still run. As long as it's not Saturday or Sunday, there should be some output. Okay, you guys, I think I shared this Colab file with you as well. So you have this at your disposal. Save that in your local Google Drive, not local, Google Drive. And then you can play around there, add your own code, do whatever you want. So practice, practice, practice again, right? And I'm any question about anything for throughout the session so far, whatever we have done?
Have you shared this one in Discord or the email? The Session 3 Colab notebook?
Discord. Here. Today at 3:51 p.m. Here's the Colab notebook for session 3. Under session planning, okay? That's the channel.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure.
So you have this Colab, and I'm going to also share the PDF right after this class, and also give you assignments.
I think the assignment would be good as well for practice.
Yes, there are, don't worry, there are 10 assignments, and some of those are not easy. So those are for your practice, and not always everything is easy, right, in life. And that is intentional. That's how I designed it to be. If you have any questions over the weekend, just shoot me a message on the Discord and I'll answer. Or email is fine as well, I guess. All right, I will try to accommodate list and dictionaries somehow, and also cover the loops in the next session. All right, so thank you for attending. Bye.
All right, thank you.